the future of Hollywood, the entertainment industry, the music industry, it's going to be largely AI generated or assisted. The celebrity of being an athlete also endures, even in the age of AI, because why you're famous is not because people know about you, it's because of the stuff that you do. I think whatever that next platform is either going to feel deeply intimate or it leans more into live.
Welcome to the stream.
There he is.
How you doing?
What's up, gentlemen?
What's up?
Congrats.
It's been too long. Oh, thank you.
Congrats, guys. I just can't believe it. In like a year.
Yeah.
You've dominated all things LinkedIn media empire. I hope it look.
LinkedIn is the cornerstone of our empire. It's where we think first.
But you saw the vision. You saw the vision before we had done any guests, before we had gone live. Very.
Still dying to invest, guys. You just happen to make the most profitable podcast ever, and thus don't need investor capital.
We manifested it.
Well, if you want to invest, why don't you go turbo long Microsoft? They own LinkedIn. We're going to make LinkedIn amazing. It's going to flip every other social network. You'll make a bag.
Not financial advice.
I like the early stage, guys.
Yeah.
I don't publicly traded stocks. It doesn't stir my cocoa.
Well, you need to use 1,000x leverage then in the public market.
You need to be able to make it. You need to be able to make 1,000x or lose it all. Otherwise, you just don't get the rush.
It's fun. What about you could invest in a Microsoft treasury company? You could buy a seed stage startup that just holds 1,000x levered Microsoft stock, and then you get the exposure, you get to hang out with the founder, you're on the board, and you see the same financial upside. It can all work out, maybe.
Anyways, it's great. It's great to see you. What's new? What's new in your world?
Dude, it was very kind. I think for my second appearance on the show, you let me plug my women's track and field meet now team-based league that's coming, Athlos. We just had our event in New York.
Nice.
Dope time. Over 3.5 million people tuned in this year.
Oh,
it was
that's
a spectacle. It was a lot of fun. Thank you to the internet.
Yeah.
We went wide on the distribution, so you could find it anywhere. YouTube, X, ESPN, DAZN, didn't matter. But it was cool. And then I don't know. I was really coming on in part because I wanted to congratulate y'all. It's been awesome to see the ride. Yeah. I've had the privilege of separately funding or seeding or playing early investment with y'all separate companies.
Yeah, I know.
Yep.
It's just been so awesome to see the trajectory, the execution, the vision, and congrats. Well deserved. I know it's just the start, and this is just me buttering you up so that one day I can invest in the tech
someday.
On the early side.
By the way, yesterday I was trying to hang out with a buddy. He could not. He was at the Angel City game.
Oh, really?
No way! So, fantastic.
Yeah. What's the update on that front?
Yeah.
I mean, we're knocking on the door. We might be able to get in the playoffs here. It's a little tough right now, but I'm hoping we get in there. But that was probably one of my favorite, I was like March of 19 when I rage tweeted about how undervalued women's professional sports was. And in proper Twitter fashion, most people said I was an idiot. No one cared about women's sports, but that obviously has done pretty well. And thank him for being an Angel City supporter. I've got a couple extra spots in the suite. If you've got, there's a couple of listeners who want,
we'll make it happen.
A couple tickets.
We'll meet
up. You have to
figure
figure out a way to give it away here for the last home match of the season, but I'll gladly.
We'll just run a raffle on LinkedIn. That'll be the way to.
Perfect. That's where
everyone is.
That's the new alpha.
100%.
Stoke Space. They announced like a $500 million in new funding last week.
Yo, there was believe it or not. So 5 years ago, first space tech investment I've ever done. And
you just one shot in space.
Come on. It was one of those dangerous. It's one of those dangerous first investments in a sector because then you end up thinking you're a genius at it. But Andy Lapps and the team are doing a hell of a job. And look, obviously Elon Musk has changed the world with SpaceX. But I think we would all agree a little competition is a good thing. And Andy's got a vision to do these fully 100% reusable rockets, and the first launch is going to be at Cape Canaveral this summer. And very, very proud of that team, and just grateful to be a little part of that.
You'll have to be there. You're going to go in person.
Oh yeah, dude! I'm bringing the whole 776 team. We visited. There's photos. Oh, if I planned
There's nothing like watching one of your startups do a launch. and just actually, but in the case of space, you get a really tight feedback loop. At least if somebody launches like a SaaS company, it's like, oh, how do signups look after the first 24 hours? This is like, how does the rocket in one piece after 20 seconds
explode immediately? Like you know whether or not it worked.
Yeah.
On the early stage side, I'd love to check in with you on just how you're feeling about AI, because we had this foundation model war. It seems like that's cooling off, like Mark Zuckerberg's poaching different co-founders of different teams, but it still seems like there's a bunch of fertile ground in the early stage. Not even call it an AI company, but just a company that's like pulling AI off the shelf. And I'd love to know kind of how you're thinking about the mobile era, like where the pockets of interesting value come from, what excites you when you see a pitch. Because I imagine you're not getting, maybe you are, but I imagine you're not getting excited about like, yeah, we're going up against OpenAI. We're going to do everything they're doing, but better. No. And it's like that ship has sailed. So where are the ships that are leaving the port right now?
It feels like, okay, I'd say the companies, there was this existential crisis probably 2 years ago where some of these 21 and 22 vintage companies that we had seeded were like, oh shit, like the world has changed. Yeah. And a lot of I think the smartest ones, frankly, pivoted hard to decide like, how do we sell picks and shovels? How do we find ways to just get involved in this? Mm-hmm. And we've seen a couple, they won't even let me talk about them because their revenue is going so well. They're like, don't tell people about it. But there's a type of company that is selling to all those foundation models that is, it's basically like throw money at this problem. We don't need to be expert at it. We just need X. Maybe we need training data. Maybe we need whatever.
Yeah. Here we call it the barnacle economy, because the whales are getting so big that even if you're a barnacle, you can go from $0 to $100 million in a couple of years. And it's like a good way to kind of like get started. You're hitching a ride on a rocket ship, you're riding a wave, and then you go off and kind of, source other customers over time and establish your market position.
I love barnacle economy. That is a good meme. The other one that's starting to peak now that you all would have great instincts on as well is the application layer. It's like, how do you build the stuff that's actually dope for the end consumer that, assume some of these larger models are going to continue to just be a solution for a lot of stuff. But like, let's say you want to see how you look in a Canadian tuxedo.
There you go.
Yeah. Like, this is Doji, shameless.
Yeah.
Like if you can make a delightful user experience, and for a consumer social guy, this is where I feel like now a lot of my product instincts can start to shine, because now I think we're almost about to see consumer social get fun again and get good again. People are realizing this is going to seem like I'm just kissing ass, but you all prove the point that so much of the internet is now just dead. This whole dead internet theory, right? It's not my idea. Whether it's botted, whether it's quasi AI, LinkedIn slop, like having proof of life, like live viewers and live content is really fucking valuable to hold attention. Yep. And so I think we'll see a next generation of social media emerge that's verifiably human, because it's all going down in the group chats now. That can't be. That is not novel tech. There's got to be some next iteration of that, because that's where all of us are getting our like really best info now. Yeah. And similarly, I think we're going to get really delightful, fun consumer experiences where, some scrappy founders in Brooklyn, like the Doji guys, can say, hey, let's make shopping fun again using this tech. And even if, the Googles of the world launch some janky try-on experience, like we know those companies are just terrible at innovating product and aren't really a threat.
Yeah, the thing I've been thinking about is social, is what we think of as a social media platform even harder to build now when you think of you're going up against generative media platforms that, like Sora and like Vibes, that are basically saying we'll spend hundreds of millions of dollars on compute to try to bootstrap this network. It's like the last generation of even the TikToks of the world was like, okay, you can compete against American social media companies. Yeah. You just need to burn billions of dollars.
I mean, what was the Vine
way different
seed
than
round?
you with Reddit back in the day, where you're like,
round?
okay, we need a little bit of cash, and we need to clone ourselves a bunch on the platform.
Maybe an AWS credits or something would get you going. Like it's just.
But if you guys had needed like $100 million to burn on compute, it wouldn't necessarily have been able to pull that off.
$72,000. That's all we raised.
It's a size gong for
12K. Do you have a tiny gong?
Yeah, we need a baby
That was
gong.
No,
first batch of
no.
YC.
Massive gong for Scrappiness.
And then 60 grand from an angel check from Paul Graham. I actually
Wait, you got
remember getting
12K
offered-
from YC. That was the first
Yeah,
check.
for 7% of the company. It was worth it. Still worth it, but that is a different time. It's 2005.
If you show up to
No, you
YC
saw
today,
this day in history, Intel IPO'd and raised $6.5 million.
I mean, even inflation adjusted.
Yeah, it's so
you'd
small.
love to see it.
It's so
That's oh God. Okay, that's the other part that makes me a little nervous right now is well, I guess look, everyone's seeing the rounds, everyone's seeing the markups and the valuations and stuff for still fairly early stage companies. The founders that can maintain their discipline with a ton of cash sitting in their bank account are going to dominate in such a great way, because we know you aren't going to need to blitz scale like a decade before. You have no excuse for trying to get hundreds of employees, when in reality, if you're a pure software company, you want to build the Navy SEALs, right? You're having dozens who are going to be able to get you on the revenue. And so if you can spend that money intelligently, obviously you've got to drop a lot of it into compute. But I think it'll be interesting to watch, because the blitz scaling model didn't really make many people happy. There aren't many CEOs who are like, God, I really loved when my company had 1,000 employees. As long as these guys and gals can be good stewards of the capital, I think we can keep this party going. It's just a lot of companies raising a lot right now early.
What was your takeaway from the whole TikTok deal? I know you were in the mix, and it ultimately ended up going for well beyond what it feels like the intrinsic value of the asset is, especially in comparison. It's like, would you rather own Perplexity at 20 billion or TikTok at 15, right?
Or Snap at 7.
Yeah,
exactly.
exactly.
Like it feels like a big platform.
Look, I am still DMs are still open if they want to get me in the mix. I do think, look, I had a hunch. This to me always felt like the kind of deal where you knew you were gonna get it. Like if you knew you were gonna win it, you were gonna know a minute ago.
Sure.
And that is what it is. I'm still happy. I've been publicly talking about how problematic TikTok was for years and years and years as a vehicle of the CCP. So I'm happy it's an American possession now. I do think, look, there's still a lot of value to that zeitgeist to affecting that. And I don't know, it'll be interesting to watch. I mean, I did just say, I think social media is about to get upended in some interesting ways, but I think with the right leadership, it's still meaningful as all hell. And with the right leadership, it can continue to endure in this new era.
This is a fascinating question, because TikTok feels like for the last maybe decade almost, like it has been the engine of innovation for social media, in the sense that the first hack of let's actually use licensed music, or a lot of the CapCut stuff, and a lot of the remove the background automatically, editing tools, a lot of the collab features, live streaming, they were definitely pushing the product design very fast. I wonder if the last 2 years have just been total chaos internally and basically frozen product development, because it's not an exciting place to work. Everything's going to be under crazy scrutiny. So even if there's some innovation, instead of just and retweet, there's a third button that's going to work really well. That hasn't rolled out. And where I'm thinking this goes is that, we heard OpenAI was going to do a social network. They did Sora. That was somewhat telegraphed. It makes a lot of sense that Meta would launch Vibes, something in the AI social network, AI TikTok. But TikTok should launch AI TikTok, right? And they've been fantastic at machine learning and AI. They've had huge data centers running these incredible recommendation algorithms. That's why the TikTok algorithm feels so creepily accurate. You swipe 5 times on a car, and it's all car content for the next week. And they're really good at understanding you like this car instead of this car. And that's because of AI and their machine learning chops. But they haven't brought that to bear in generative AI yet. And it seems logical, but I'm wondering if there's still a team there that would push that forward, or if they'll just be way more reactive.
You bring up a really good point, especially because we've seen this creep up, and it felt like, look, part of the advantage to building in this space is, you're right. I mean, when we talk about the algorithm, we're talking about TikToks, right? The effectiveness, like you said, that they were able to use machine learning to send you more of the stuff you want to keep swiping. Does feel like they've been frozen in time the last couple of years.
Yeah.
I think you could look, it is a large enough property with enough cultural influence that I think you could get some really talented people to come go build on it. And look, Andreessen and company, they know how to attract talented people to come build on stuff. I wouldn't count it out yet. And this is, look, a big reason why I'm still spending so much, why I continue spending more and more time in sports, investing in sports, building sports teams, league, et cetera. I think it's the last bastion of content and attention when, 95, think of the future of Hollywood, the entertainment industry, the music industry, it's gonna be largely AI generated or assisted. The appointment television, aside from live, breaking tech and business news, sport is like guaranteed.
Sport's huge.
And the celebrity of being an athlete also endures, even in the age of AI, because why you're famous is not because people know about you, it's because of the stuff that you do.
Yep.
And so there's gotta be, I think whatever that next platform is either going to feel deeply intimate and human. So it's the better version of the group chat that we all have. And I don't know if maybe it's another level of anonymity, decentralization. I know the crypto bros are excited about that.
Yep.
There's potential there. Or it leans more into live, especially here in the West. I feel like Whatnot and others are still kind of scratching the surface. Whereas in China, it seems like a much bigger part of the culture. So I don't know. But I'm hopeful. I'm hopeful we keep seeing more innovation here because as a consumer guy, I think we've been starved for a little while.
Totally.
There was some recent reporting that time on social media in the Financial Times, time on social media peaked in 2022 with young people cutting back first. Is that something? Did you ever predict that? I mean, they're kind of, you have to factor in, I feel like COVID a little bit here.
People going back to work. Spending time on
it's like remote work.
Basically,
it's really just people remote work ending and people like, okay.
You literally go to the office and TikTok is banned on the Wi-Fi, so you can't use it.
I like that we're beating this up. I definitely quote tweeted it because it validated my own worldview. And so I was like, oh, well, obviously this is right.
Let me take a victory lap.
Anecdotally, I should actually just look at this. I track all this shit, so I could probably just look at, even just on my mobile phone, time spent. I don't know how far back that goes in that app, but okay. Anecdotally, look at online dating and look at how. I mean, thankfully, I'm married because I don't run, but run clubs have become this new version of how to meet people, especially for younger generation. I got tired of swipe culture. It definitely feels like there is a younger generation of folks who are using the internet to find ways to commune offline. Whether it is events or run clubs, it feels like there's a bit of a culture shift that's like.
Wait, did you say you're married so you don't run?
No, I'm saying I'm married.
So he doesn't go to.
It's also helpful that I also don't run.
I like the idea that the only reason people run is to meet people. That is
that's
running is just
part of the
dating.
TAM expansion.
It really has been. No, it's a good point.
No, but guys, I can break down why this is. So I'm very lucky. I know Whitney fairly well from Bumble, but also the OkCupid guys from back in the day. I'm really dating myself. The secret of online dating, assuming straight dating only for a second, is high value women get inundated by messages from guys. Sure. And so if they have a bad experience, they churn and your app fails.
Yeah.
And so every successful dating website is on some level a way to make sure that they're having a good time.
Yep.
And what's interesting about run clubs is it creates this social dynamic and a sort of physical real world one where if you literally cannot keep up, you can't keep up. And so there is an interesting dynamic there that I think, again, I've taken a few of these pitches. The Run Club app, the dating app for real life. There's versions of this that are foaming up. And so I want to believe the burnout is real. And then you combine it with just, again, the fact that so much of the stuff we're seeing is just, it's to some degree botted or fake.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm meeting founders. Let me give you a perfect example. Okay. So, and this is something I wouldn't be surprised. Okay, so CPG days. Mm-hmm. You know how important having a subreddit is to the success of your product, right?
Huge.
I got about 9 months ago, I heard from a founder. I won't say what the subreddit is, but he told me, he's like, oh, I just bought the bread making, r/bread making. I just bought the bread making subreddit. I was like, I didn't know you could buy a subreddit. He
Isn't
said,
that against TOS? I imagine that's against TOS.
We definitely, but we found the 7 moderator accounts and we bought each of those accounts. And so now we own those accounts. We control who becomes a new mod. So we own that subreddit. And so very quietly every day on it's not r/bread making, but r/bread making, we make sure that there are posts that do well that are like, oh, I love my, blah, blah,
this
blah
particular bread.
Yes, because the value of the GPT sort of training, the engine, what is it, GEO now, whatever.
Yeah, GEO.
GPT optimization, the SEO of today, of the AI age, it's so valuable that there's such an economic incentive now. And, if that's what the cracked founders are doing, and I just learned about that 6 months ago, 8 months ago, surely it was happening even before.
Should we?
And
it's wild.
It makes the underpinning of so much of what we consume online, very much at risk. Again, which is why stuff like this starts to feel a lot more real and tangible.
Should we buy out all the mods of r/communism and start pilling them on capitalism?
We would have to. I mean, it's interesting
already.
For probably, I imagine
just post luxury watches.
I imagine they would be very principled. If you offered $10,000, they'd be very principled. They'd be like, "There's no price that I would, sell my account." You offer them $1 million. Actually,
this communism thing sucks.
Actually, 20K might do it. Everyone's gonna have their price.
What do you think about? I feel like there's been an idea. I've seen some pitches over the last couple of years of people selling this vision of like Instagram, but it's just you and 1 million bots, and so that feels like the social network, the AI, the echo. Well, it feels like a social network that you don't need $1 billion like to start, like something like a Sora. It's like very expensive. Not any old team can just build that.
You're absolutely right, Jordy.
Thanks,
great
John.
idea.
Thanks, John. It's not this, it's that. And I think the reason that I think is somewhat interesting is people can say bots are a feature, not a bug, right? Like X clearly doesn't take bots as seriously as maybe they should. And I think part of that is probably it just brings back. It's hard to solve, but it also brings, it's like a notification, right? It brings people back to the app. There's a reason to check the app, even if you're not getting real engagement. But I've generally been bearish on these sort of just like entirely bot networks because I think people still want to feel like even if they're getting a notification from like an account that could be a bot, they're still running the calculus of like, oh, maybe it is a real person. I don't know.
Yeah, it would have to be the utility of the bot, the why of the bot would have to be so great that no human could reasonably do it. So Reddit had a third-party version of this. It was like the Remind Me bot.
Oh yeah,
where you would just tag in Remind Me and some amount of time, and it will message you back. So like that isn't it, right? No reasonable human would keep track of all that bullshit. Great use of a bot.
Yep.
There could be uses for that, but it would really like in each one of them, it would have to be so worth it. It can't just be sycophancy. Like it has to be like, no, this actually adds some value that no human could reasonably do. I think for me to get excited about it, because people can still find the sycophancy one-to-one.
Yeah.
Do you really need 100 or 1,000? And frankly, probably 10% of humanity will fall in some way in love with or in obsession with some kind of an AI. In the same way we lost people to MMORPGs or what have you. Like there's a version of that to exist, but I don't know about the one-to-many.
At the same time, it feels like about 10% of the population maybe will do the exact opposite. And instead of getting lost in the hyper futuristic infinite jest, they will just go back to like logging off, complete retro stuff.
Go to the run club.
I want to know two things, the general take on retro electronics, throwback websites, throwback tech. And then I want to know specifically what game are you playing on your mod retro chromatic most often these days? Because you've been posting a lot about it.
Dude, I don't know if we totally announced it. Well, okay. I'm going to have to disclose. We're also an RIA, so now anything I say. So, I mean, it is a 776 company. We're very lucky to have invested with Torrin and Palmer. And it is, I am an unabashed gamer. I have graded video games. Actually, not.
Graded video games?
Graded.
Oh, like older copies that are kept in the box?
Look at this, guys.
That's cool.
This is original Game Boy.
Yes.
Wow.
This is my art.
Wow.
Right?
Yeah.
Totally. I coveted this as a kid. We could not have
Yeah,
it.
I've long had this thesis
Got one now,
that
Dad.
I've long had this thesis that I don't know how it'll play out, but like in many ways, video games can be the new golf for a generation of young people that grew up playing competitive video games, and then they will like play games with their crew like online, and like it'll actually like kind of be this place where people have business discussions in the lobby of Fortnite in a few years, like once they get older.
It is. So 3 years ago, 2 years ago, it was a long time ago. I was an early investor in Row Health.
Yeah.
Z Ray Tano, founder and CEO.
Yeah.
After our board meetings, we play Fortnite.
Yeah.
So this has been going on. I think he does it with some other CEO.
I heard some hilarious story about a kid who runs a company and does all his meetings in COD. He's like, no, seriously. I mean, he's like some like, I don't know, crypto founder or something. And like, he has a very small, like lean company. He's just like, oh yeah, like let's just hop on Rust if we want to like hash this out. But first, I do want to know, top mod retro game. I got Tetris, obviously. I got a few other games, but what should I get?
Here you go. Self-simulated. It's a platformer. It's a lot of fun. It involves your robot dying and an infinite number of its clones having to make its way out. I may or may not be working on a game of my own.
I was about to ask.
Be ready for the holidays.
Because if the mod retro chromatic install base gets big enough, you could potentially develop new games, and it would probably be pretty cheap to develop because you're not trying to do GTA 5 with networking and stuff, right? Like you're actually just like, you could maybe even vibe code it a little bit. Like it's pretty doable.
That is exactly right. I mean, this is an indie game. And what's crazy is the amount of money I'm spending on this game is tens of thousands of dollars. And that's everything. And that's for basically developer, designer, a little bit of soundtrack, music stuff. Like it doesn't.
That's not
take
GTA 6 money. Like that's accessible for just like an artist with like a couple backers. There's gonna be a new crowdfunding boom potentially. You could get new Kickstarter stuff going. Actually deliver this stuff. That's super cool.
And what I love about the constraint is it's similar to a great tweet, right? You're limited on characters. You got to make each one count. You're limited on pixels. You make each count. And it forces you to think more about gameplay and do weirder, interesting stuff. Like there's a sea shanty, like Guitar Hero style game that I actually need to try on the chromatic, where it's like that would have never been green.
Man, come. I love sea shanties.
It took the cost to be reasonable enough that you could get experimental and turn around a really high quality in a game. So I'm bullish on it, especially because, every new Call of Duty, every new Battlefield, like the graphics get marginally better, but it's diminishing returns, right? Oh, the buildings are now 99% more destructible. That's cool, but it's not a huge step function. Like, will I buy the new Grand Theft Auto when it ever comes out? Of course.
Of course.
But there's room for this kind of simpler format that it's very dope. And, Palmer's not stopping there. So if you've seen any of the tweets, there's some very cool hardware on the way.
I'm very excited.
Yeah, I think he's on the schedule.
Yeah, it's
for later this month. Last question: what's your framework and view on AI companions broadly? It feels like one of those things that everybody has like kind of a moral framework around investing into. Elon obviously ran the calculus of. It feels like a market that a lot of the other labs didn't want to lean into heavily. He was willing to lean in. He went there. Yeah. But what's your? Because I'm sure you've gotten probably hundreds of pitches.
You haven't tried Claude Sexy Mode yet?
This is where, this is definitely where I feel like there's probably the market's going to find the market's not necessarily going to regulate itself. This is clearly one of the end games for AI for some percentage of the population.
Yep. I'm
not like jumping out of bed to fund that company, and thankfully Elon's doing it with those hentai characters. But I do think the version of it that I think is very interesting to me. And I've been using, maybe it just ends up being ChatGPT or Anthropic. Like I use them as a kind of executive coach in real time when I'm looking for feedback on emails or just my own sort of notes on stuff. Like there's some version of that I think is interesting and compelling. I've been actively looking for the version of it that is kid friendly, but not, and there's been some interesting ones that have gotten funding. I don't know. Because the way I use AI with my kid right now is it's just the always on tutor that we can sort of ask questions to, or we'll provide trivia questions for us on the
That's a good use case.
That's been fun. And it's great. And we do a little creative storytelling, story writing, but it's always with me because she's 8. right?
Yeah.
I want her to think of this as a tool that's going to give her superpowers to solve any problem she needs. I'm excited to see. Here's another one, that I think the Palmers of the world will be thinking about is if you're focused on consumer electronics, like consumer hardware, the way this generation, this AI native generation is going to interact with UI and UX is different from us. And it's the version of the kids swiping the magazine back in the day.
Oh, yeah.
Because they thought the iPad was broken, but it's a paper magazine, right? Because that form factor was so native to them. There's an AI first, almost a voice first version that I'm expecting. Like, because even I watch my daughter when she gets on her iPad for iPad time, like she usually uses the microphone to dictate text into the prompts or what have you, instead of typing. Like I'm trying to get her on the whole QWERTY thing. But again, if I'm realistic, I'm like, well, this is way faster.
Yeah.
These things, like literally, these things were designed to be slow so that the keys wouldn't jam on a typewriter, right? And all the Dvorak keyboard people are like, we told you, finally we're validated. But I actually think this should feel like a relic from a bygone age if we build the right interface for it. So I think voice is going to get more interesting, and I'm looking towards the younger generation for just helping us get ideas out of our heads.
Yeah,
faster.
the combination of kids' toys plus LLMs is interesting too. I'm sure they'll be jailbroken in terrible ways immediately. But if you can combine like actual
but we never
IP,
did that on the internet in 2000 either.
Yeah, if you can combine like novel IP that's a hit plus the LLM layer where the kid just doesn't love like a certain plushy thing.
I mean, super underrated that OpenAI has a deal with, everyone talking about Broadcom, NVIDIA, Oracle. They have a deal with Mattel. Like, OpenAI and Barbie are in business together. Like, let's think about that for a second.
And Ken.
It's going to be fun.
Ken is AGI pilled.
Yeah, you're going to be able to go to Ken and Barbie. AGI. It'll be fun. Thank you so much for stopping by. This is a great time.
Great
Always
to catch up.
Appreciate you guys. Keep up the great work.
Thank you.
You too.
Thanks, friend.